He's the Senior Director of Software Development, Technology, and Architecture at Siemens Healthineers, a 12-year veteran of the healthcare industry and a Siemens Senior Key Expert. Please welcome to the stage, Mike Heydlauf.
Good evening, everyone. As Wade mentioned, my name's Mike, and I work for Siemens Healthineers. And Siemens Healthineers is a large healthcare company that offers a large variety of products and services. But I think an easy way to understand what we do is we help healthcare providers, your doctor or hospital, diagnose why you might not be feeling well. And diagnostics can usually be separated into two different categories, in vivo diagnostics and in vitro diagnostics. So in vivo means in the body, so it's where you have CAT scan, ultrasound, MRI type diagnostics, and in vitro is outside the body, or more commonly in a test tube. So that's where you have blood, plasma, urine type diagnostics. I work on the in vitro side, more specifically in the automation and informatics group, where we help our customers, which are laboratories and hospitals, sort of maximize their workflows and resources. And about 2 years ago, my boss came up to me and said, Mike, I'm interested in starting this innovation group, somewhere where we can try new ideas and fail quickly without, incurring the cost and timelines of typically bringing a product to market. And I said, did you say fail quickly? Because no one fails faster than me. So I'm your guy. And thus the innovation group was born. So we had innovation programs in the past where a lot of really good ideas were generated, but we struggled to execute on those ideas because, day-to-day activities and requirements sort of got in the way. But nonetheless, we had good ideas we could use as a springboard into this new group. And we established this oversight framework. We called it the IHT, or Innovation Health Team, which was a convenient way for us to position what this group would be doing in the organization, because we already had PHT, or product health teams, whose functioning was well understood. We said we would maintain an evergreen innovation pipeline, we'd do quarterly updates to the management, and we quickly realized that we would focus in on 3 types of projects to take on. One would be new product innovation. I think that's pretty obvious and self-explanatory. But we would also focus on projects that could help our existing products accelerate their time to market. So research, feasibility, reduce risk, that kind of thing. And we would also look at projects that could result in productivity savings. So internal tools or procedures that could be shared across a number of teams. So a little bit about the Agile aspects of this innovation team. So because it was new, it was important for us to start small with quick wins so we could sort of demonstrate the value that the team and this program was bringing to the organization. And we decided we would run our projects in an agile way, which meant we were going to do iterative, incremental, and evolutionary improvements. We established a cross-functional team, another tenet of Agile, that included strategy, marketing, service, and R&D. And frankly, if this had just been an R&D endeavor, we would have had less credibility and struggled to prioritize appropriately some of the projects we were going to take on. We would embrace failure, fail quickly, no problem there. But we would also have prioritize efficient, high-bandwidth communication and minimal overhead, which in a regulated industry like healthcare is definitely not the norm. And just, one more statement on failing quickly and how that can be helpful. As in this Thomas Edison quote, "I've not failed, I just found 10,000 ways that don't work." Projects will fail, ambitious innovation projects maybe more than most, but by approaching this in an agile way, we're really able to minimize the cost of those failures while maximizing the learning from them. So how'd we do in the first year? As I mentioned before, we would start small with quick wins, but even so, we were able to complete 5 projects in that first year on a $350,000 budget. And that budget basically paid for 2 full-time people that we spread across 7 individuals working part-time. And those 5 projects yielded $2.5 million in productivity savings. And the more mathematically astute will point out that, 2.5 million return on $350,000 budget is not 10x returns. You called your talk 10x returns in healthcare. Well, you caught me. I was just afraid none of you would come if I had called it 7.14x returns in healthcare. So I just thought I'd leave you with some example projects of what this team was able to produce. First up, we'll talk about a productivity savings project. This was what we call Common Service Password. It was a software library and companion portal that would generate passwords that our service personnel could look up prior to going into the field to service an instrument in a more secure way. Next, accelerate time to market. So one of our flagship products was going to introduce a big data aspect, a business analytics piece. So the innovation team was able to evaluate a number of different platforms and eventually come up with an architecture and a proposal that the project team was able to pick up and run with and ultimately gain 6 months in their milestone. And the last category is the most exciting, new product innovation. I think you're not going to believe what this team was able to come up with and how we're really going to revolutionize healthcare, and I'm excited to get to talk to you about it. Oh, right, but I'm out of time, so my apologies. You'll have to take my word for it. We're doing some really exciting stuff.
All right,
Thank you.
sure, blame the messenger. Used to it. Awesome, that was a great talk about Agile in healthcare. Who's got questions for Mike? Raise your hands, we'll bring the microphone to you. That is right, full service here at RTP180 presented by RTI International. Raise your hands, raise your hands. This isn't TV, I can see you people, you know that, right? Okay, we'll get you first. You raise your hand first and we'll go up.
I'd like to understand the impetus for this came from management now. I mean, they were really bought in.
Yeah, absolutely. That, as I mentioned, we had these innovation programs in the past, but an idea is a funny thing. It does nothing unless you do. And because we weren't carving out additional budget and giving people specific tasks to say, you're going to do X and Y with regards to innovation, normal project responsibilities always took priority. And so as a result, we struggled to really execute on some of the great ideas we had. But by, sort of carving out this budget, even though it was small, we had sort of the green light to really experiment and get things done.
Great question. Had one up front here, I believe. Anyone? All right, then we'll come back to you in the red shirt. Stand up if you would, please, sir.
So you work in a very large organization.
I do.
Potentially characterized as risk averse in the healthcare industry.
Yeah.
You got a budget to do your innovation work. I'm assuming you had to interface with other areas of the business that maybe weren't as bought in or operating in Agile. What challenges did you face in interfacing with different, potentially other areas of the business?
Yeah, great question. Fortunately, is when we set up the team, it wasn't just R&D. Even though R&D was establishing the budget and paying for it, we quickly recognized the need to have a cross-functional team. So we included the marketing group, we included the service group, we included strategy. So they were already a part of it and had their voices heard for any project that we would take on. So I really think that that challenge you described was mitigated by having them be included from the get-go.
Another good question. Now, right here, just a couple rows back.
Yeah.
My question is similar to theirs is, can you give us one example, like what you had to change? Like this agile development is different from traditional R&D. Can you give some concrete examples of how you or the team had to change?
I'm sorry, how my team did what?
Something you changed.
Oh, I would, okay. Sure. So typically, especially in A highly regulated industry like healthcare, when you start product development, you have a long cycle of requirements. There's a number of gates you have to, or milestones you have to move through in order to bring that product to market. There's audits, et cetera. And this team was really able to operate outside of that because we weren't commercializing anything. We were just laying the groundwork, and any project that came out of that would go through that normal process vigor to bring a healthcare product to market. But because we were able to sort of do this in an agile way, we were able to sort of experiment, fail quickly without all of that vigor that would normally go into a healthcare product that was commercialized.
Great question. Time for one more question. You want to talk into the blue ball. Come on, one more question. You're letting me down, people. I'm not mad. I'm just disappointed. All right, well, if you would like to have more questions, all of our speakers will be hanging around after the event. Please give it up one more time for Mike Heydlauf.